Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we actually have a little bit of an intriguing conversation going on over here when it comes back to the Xbox and the future of the Xbox console. Now, as you guys probably have heard, or at least have kind of seen murmurs on, or even mentioned on my YouTube channel itself, is that the future of console games are a little bit of a weird limbo. The PlayStation is seemingly doing still good, is making good money off the hardware sales, and overall they're making money. The Xbox still sold around like 30 million or so consoles, and it's, at the end of the day, is doing pretty well, but at the same time, they're mainly making money off of Game Pass and cloud streaming and all those type of like subscription services. Now, the Nintendo has been overall doing okay in hardware sales, but at the end of the day, all this put together is making people really concerned on what is going to be the future of the PlayStation, the Xbox, or whatever else it might be. And right now, we're seeing a lot more people critiquing and making comments on the Xbox and Microsoft on if they want to phase out the Xbox and if it's going to be gone for a while. Now, I've actually been talking about this for the past month or so on various videos, and I do kind of think that the long-term plan, at least at my high level, is that Xbox at some point will probably tone down their console production. They will focus more on Game Pass or streamability, and at the end of the day, they really don't necessarily need to have their console to make a proper good company because they'll sell games like Call of Duty or World of Warcraft or Fable or Halo and just plop it on any available platform. PlayStation, Switch, PC, or as well Game Pass, and they'll be fine at the end of the day. But right now, we actually have some really big people such as the Sega CEO, like Sega themselves, who also is even involved in making other prior consoles back in the day, stating that Microsoft and Xbox is actually a really weird kind of pickle, and saying that the future of the Xbox may not be actually even certain, and also may just be gone in the future as well. So make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. We have the Twitter and Twitch room down below. Let's go talk about this one, because I would love to hear your thoughts and comments on this down below. Now, once again, high level, I kind of think if you had a very good alternative, so think PC, think TVs, think mobile, think console, or whatever it might be, I do think that the Xbox console, in my opinion, is not really needed. It's a cool console, it's a fun addition, and as of the next, probably next cycle, at least bare minimum, I think we should have an Xbox console. But at the same time, maybe like 10, 15, 20 years from now, we don't really necessarily need one if they can go and prioritize it on consoles. If they have Game Pass on the PS6, if they have Game Pass on PC, if they have Game Pass on just general TVs, whatever it might be, we may not need it. But this is why it's kind of intriguing, because right now the Xbox debate is still ongoing, where Microsoft will be debating right now whether Xbox consoles have a future, says Peter Moore. So it feels like video game consoles are at a crossroads, where the Xbox Series X and S are floundering. And if you kind of compare it to, say, the Switch or the PS5, they are kind of floundering. Now, I think the Xbox as a whole is doing good. I think Game Pass as a whole is doing well. But at the same time, even PlayStation is also faltering, where they actually are going to be toning down their original sales and sale numbers as the consoles go and progress. And as well, we do have the Switch 2 coming out at some point, Super Switch, whatever, and we'll have to see how the sales go from there, but the Switch 1 was a big success. But a lot of people are kind of thinking like people are moving to PC, they don't necessarily need to have consoles, and streamability seems more important. And that's why it's very intriguing on this one, because there's a big pandemic boom, we had a big supply shock, shortage issues, and as well, people just want to go play games. But I think a lot of people are actually seeing this brand new console generation, like the PS5 or Xbox Series X, as a little bit of a, well, kind of slight. I mean, Peter Moore is convinced that Microsoft will be discussing right now whether the Xbox consoles even have a future. Why should we care about what Peter Moore thinks? He knows a thing or two about video game consoles because he's the president of Sega himself. And he was also around when Sega killed the Dreamcast and went third party as well. So basically just been around the industry, he knows what's up. And on top, there's been like an EA and other various platforms too. So we had an interview and it have some very intriguing conversations saying, I've seen a lot of talk about the console business essentially failing to grow in a long time. It has a relatively stable number of customers, but if you look at the install base for each generation of the last however many years, the needles haven't moved significantly. Basically saying that, the PS5's been doing good, but compared to the PS4, it's pretty much the same. Xbox is actually a bit more on the smaller side, and we'll have to see how the Switch kind of goes. And they're like, hey, is this going to be good as well? Is it going to be long-term good? Do we want to get rid of consoles? Saying, yeah, well, the numbers don't lie. Let's not forget, hardware is a messy business. If you extract hardware and look at the profit and loss on its own, it's brutal. But it's the facilitator to the software, such as God of War, Horizon, Halo, Game Pass, and services that drive the industry. You've got a generation coming through now, and this is the concern maybe Phil's talking about, that's more likely to be utilizing their smartphones for everything, including gaming. So basically, people would rather go and play on their phone and go and download Fortnite on that, or Pug Mobile, or Call of Duty Mobile, rather than playing on their console, which is still kind of funny because I prefer a console player game. I think the games are better, but it's also a big thing to know. And as well, a lot of people are kind of saying hey, old school consoles were plug and play. It was easy. It was powerful. But they're also saying nowadays where some things are kind of intriguing because if you have, say, cloud to interchange, say, for Xbox, you don't really necessarily need to have it. Like if you could go plug in, like have Game Pass on your PC, you don't need it. If you have like Game Pass on your TV, you don't need it. If you have Game Pass on your phone, you don't really need it at the end of the day. And they're kind of saying like, does like streaming kind of ruin this? And at the end of the day, it actually might. Because if we don't need a console, why do we sell Xbox? We'll sell Xbox Game Pass, sure, or more so Microsoft Game Pass. But at the end of the day, what is actually the point? And what can we go and do? Like, would people rather go buy a USB stick and plug it into your TV and stream on that? Because I probably would. You spend $100 on that, you get that forever. I'd probably rather do that than a $500 console. But that's just kind of me in the first place too as well. So it's been very intriguing because people are saying like, hey, like throughout since 2007, they've been saying there's gonna be consoles going away and like we don't need it, and like the next console is gonna be the last one, but we still keep on kicking. And at the end of the day, I do think Xbox will always have a place. I've been saying these types of videos as this Discord's been pretty big, where I do think Xbox, the next few generations will be happening. It'll be good. Like, people like the Xbox. Even if it only sells 10 million copies, that'll still be worthwhile because it's another 10 million install base on Game Pass or streaming and everything else. And I think a lot of people are liking that. But people are also saying like they're not always in the room. Like, we're sometimes in the bedroom with YouTubers, or sometimes on your couch with TikTok people, or maybe like even on your phone in the car. And it kind of seems like right now, is Xbox really needed? Because as time and technology keeps getting better and better and better, we have other alternatives. So think a phone, think a laptop, think your TV with Game Pass, think PC, especially PC. And do we really need to have an Xbox as a whole? And even really big figureheads in the gaming industry, such as like the Sega head, are thinking this and realizing this, where we don't necessarily need this. Like, you're not always in the living room. You're not always on your like in your home. Like, you might be at your friend's house. You might be at college. You might be just going and staying in your bed. You don't always need to go be playing stuff. Like, think like the Steam Deck. Like, a lot of people like their Steam Deck. They have a chance to go and do this. So as well. So yeah, it's kind of big stuff to note that basically Xbox is cool and is where there, but there's other various people out there. Like, some people don't always want this too as well. So people were saying back in the 360 day, people had that concern like 10 years ago, where people were like, hey, do we even need consoles? Do we want consoles? And they're even saying this. Do you think that this will be the last console generation? They're saying PS5 saying, yeah, maybe we can sunset this thing, but no mention of a PS6. Now, look, Sony is very much a hardware company, and basically some companies like PlayStation will make money on their hardware. They'll make money on software. They'll make money on everything, all interconnected. But at the same time, I don't think a PlayStation 6 is not going to happen. I think a PS5 Pro and PS6 are going to happen. Microsoft, though, they even say this. Microsoft, I'm sure, would love it if everything moved to the cloud. The only thing that Microsoft doesn't get to play in is, as well as everyone else, is the smartphone business, right? So basically, they don't have a smartphone, but we heard here rumors that Xbox is going to be making a smartphone. They also have people on PC with Game Pass and Cloud Game Pass. They have things on TV. They have like these USB sticks they were working on. We don't really need an Xbox. Like, at the end of the day, like, all the stuff put together is kind of pushing towards the fact that Xbox is overrated. It's cool. I want it. I want one myself. I'd probably buy the next Xbox. But if you have a nice PC, which I do, or you have a nice, like, say, phone in the next 3 to 5 years on the next generation of Xbox, do you really need an Xbox? Maybe not, maybe actually not. And throughout this entire article, they're saying, like, hey, in Tokyo, in Washington, and other various places, a lot of people are bringing up the topic of, do we need consoles? Are we going to even have consoles in the future? And a lot of people are apparently saying no. Like, a lot of these big tech people over here too as well, and they're saying, it's a real serious question that's being asked in Tokyo, in Washington, in Kyoto, where people are like, hey, we don't really know what the future of Xbox is going to happen. We don't know the future of gaming. We don't know what's going to happen in the first place. And they don't necessarily have faith in what's going to happen overall. And they're saying, while you were at Sega, you witnessed the company go from a first party to third party after the failure of the Dreamcast, which is kind of where Microsoft is going. I don't want to say Xbox is a failure. It's done very, very well and has very good sales, and it's still going to probably keep on getting future good sales in the future as well. Like, Xbox is a strong brand. But we've also seen other companies such as, say, Sega, as we mentioned with the Dreamcast, who just at some point moved to publishing. And that kind of seems like what Xbox wants. They want to be a publisher. They want to sell Call of Duty. They want to sell various games, Crash Bandicoot, World of Warcraft, Call of Duty, whatever, and make money that way. And if they can make more money without having to have this loss leader of an Xbox sending money on development, why would they not just want to go that route? And it's kind of intriguing saying, because like the world's first party and third party may just disappear. This would be like, we make great games and we deliver a phenomenal service on which you can play your games in first and third party, and those are the legacies of hardware. And it does kind of seem like this will be gone. Like, I don't think the Xbox has been gone for like 20 years, 10 years, whatever. But it does kind of seem like these big figureheads are saying, like, hey, these, like, we don't need this. Like, as long as you could sell the games which people are buying, you can enjoy the games people are buying or play it on Game Pass where people are using, then why do we care about the games as a whole? And like I said, this is coming from like Sega in the first place. And it kind of seems like people are calling out like this big long-term schedule, or like, hey, what is the long-term strategy? What do you want to do? And it seems like we're in this really cool transitional period where they want to go and release games out here on PlayStation, on the Switch, and drive and kind of do the big role of being a publisher. Because if you get people on Game Pass or buying their games and you don't need to sell or make or develop Xboxes, it doesn't matter if PlayStation's number one. It doesn't matter if the Switch is number one, because people are buying your games on those platforms either way. And how do you make a lot of money, or even at least how PlayStation makes a lot of money, is through software sales. You get Game Pass subscriptions as a whole, you get the monthly payment every month, and at the end of the day, you're making money and probably saving money on hardware costs, shipping costs, install base costs, and even probably maybe even server costs too as well. And I think that's a good thing at the end of the day. But right now it does kind of seem like Xbox's future is very questionable, or higher ups are calling it out saying, do we really need this? Higher ups are saying, do we really want this? And higher ups are even saying like, hey, if they have a chance to go and drop it tomorrow, they probably would. But once again, I don't think the Xbox is going to wait tomorrow. I don't think the Xbox next generation is not going to happen. But it does kind of make sense in the future. Game Pass and other streamable consoles and all that type of stuff, putting games on PlayStation or Switch, is that very first next big step of kind of cycling up the Xbox and going from there. So I want to hear your thoughts on all of this stuff down below, because it is a very intriguing concept, where it seems like Xbox is probably going to go away at some point. Maybe the PlayStation might go away at some point too if they also get more big driving sales in the PS Plus in streaming, although maybe not as likely because they've selling a lot of hardware. But at the end of the day, it's very intriguing to see that even big figureheads on the gaming sphere are like, hey, we want to go and make other games. Hey, we want to do other stuff in this big pot. Like, we'd rather publish it on every 3 generations rather than only focus on our own to make more money. And it seems like that would make sense. Again, also on Game Pass, get us other various platforms, get rid of the Xbox console, and sell us Game Pass, sell us streaming, sell us all the games on PlayStation or the Switch, and I'm kind of cool with that at the end of the day. So a little bit of a ramble video, but this is crazy to see that figureheads are even saying that Xbox may not be worth it. And at the same time, Xbox might get actually cycled out. So I want to hear your thoughts on this ramble down below, and I appreciate y'all for watching. Make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. We got that Twitter and Twitch stream down below if you guys would like to follow, and I appreciate you guys all so much for watching here in the first place. I love you guys. I'll see you guys all throughout today for more videos.